Abusuya wan kasa wuti ho a yeyi bone na the minority caucus in parliament a chair say praye wo hoi se ebomu a ne bu no den se baakofo anase obeyi baako na wabum na they have really declared support for Ayew Dr. Ayew Afriyie wa bra the first deputy speaker Yura Honorable Bernard Ayew play partisan by ordering the parliament marshal say omambe carrying out wa bra na o giving a remark wa bra he is privileged to na ebra na wantwi we ekosui ka tonabo nanka empanyfo to omonsa wo mbata ankopem ne sa wa bra empanyfo suspended parliament na gibre na yamane boni wa ha ne ensem wa the minority caucus so de to dwa wa bra this incident esi ye na Yura Honorable Bernard Ayew a play partisan na the briefing say at the time no tie dwam as a speaker of a parliament na at the end of the day no firstly ye pam honorable member every a year parliament say bi nipa hunu bi kwana gibre na me fama ne bo ento awonfa asemi
that's why our parliament ene enwumre enyasem ketwa kra ni na se to ye Afriyie kriara utie no yi wono na first deputy speaker of parliament onyanfo Bernard Ayew yes marshal no my security for a na we parliament fa no tono ntwere parliament free parliament obi say parliament was standing order said ye adwuma wan fa kwa sa kwa no so na ye na adwuma na no na NPP marshal minority no say adabraka ehene ha ye mpreso ene bro ha si hono enya agrokra yen kono ekuti the see parliament
to explain to the public the extreme partisan nature of the first deputy speaker of parliament. Clearly to explain to the public the extreme partisan nature of the first deputy speaker of parliament. He's been extremely partisan this evening, disregarding the provisions of the standing orders of this house. This house has orders, and the order in 93(1) allows for issue of urgent public importance for statements to be admitted. Minority pleaded for him to exercise the highest form of discretion. But the first deputy speaker failed. I think the deputy speaker has a lot to learn from the speaker himself. The Right Honorable Speaker is extremely liberal, encourages the provision and the execution of the standing orders. But the first deputy speaker, who is extremely partisan, has denied us the right of the minority to exercise what we have to do as far as this strike is concerned. What did we do this morning? We met you and then made you aware of our position. But it doesn't end there. Our business is in the house. So we made a statement, a joint statement between myself and Jerry Ahmed, basically to get the hands out to capture our position. And that's the way we work. And from this, you can deliberate on it and then put the necessary pressure on government to do what it has to do. But that is official. Regardless of the press conference we had earlier, this is our work. And the only way to have made it formal was to go through an urgent statement. But he has refused that. He has refused that. When the order 93(1) allows him to have admitted this on issue of urgent public importance. In issues like this where people are dying, if this is not important, what's our business in the house now? Threatening that he is going to expel myself and my colleagues out when we're trying to plead on nurses to go back to work and also ask government to be reasonable with their posturing towards nurses. What else do you expect from a minority? A reasonable minority. A reasonable minority who are not playing politics, unlike them.
Specifically, let's take a moment to compare this doomsday levy, D-levy, to the E-levy that was recently repealed. It will be recalled that when the MPP introduced the E-levy, our then colleagues in opposition bastardized it and told Ghanaians that it represented thievery. In fact, they use the expression pickpocketing. Unfortunately, a good number of Ghanaians bought into their propaganda. So let's compare the E-levy to the Dumsor levy, which has now been introduced by the NDC. First, the E-levy was advertised in the budget. It was followed up with town hall meetings, and it onboarded extensive public consultations before the bill was finally passed in Parliament. This Dumsor levy was smuggled through to avoid any form of public engagement, consultation, or scrutiny. It was neither advertised in the budget nor in the main order paper for the day. And that's why we say that this amounts to midnight robbery. The E-levy had an effective rate of 1% per transaction, yet it was described as pickpocketing. This Dumsor levy has the effective rate of 8% per transaction. And that's why we say that it is midnight robbery. The E-levy avoided transactions that were not in excess of 100 Ghana cedis, you will recall. And the argument that was canvassed at the time was that we had to create some room for the very poor to be excluded into the operations of Gridco and ECG to reduce transmission, distribution, and other technical losses. You have followed the arguments that part of the problem is the losses occasioned during transmission and distribution and collection. If government really means well, that is one of the areas to focus attention and front load. Number 3, we're asking government to pursue the strategy that we proposed in 2024 to go heavily into renewable energy, as advertised, for example, in our manifesto, to reduce the need for fuel importation and its consequent negative impacts on the economy. And you will recall that prior to 2024, in the elections, we signaled that if the NPP was in power today, we'll focus heavily on augmenting with solar power, so that this whole thing of buying HFO and fuel for the power plants will be reduced. And you don't have to then come and impose these levies on Ghanaians at 8% to pay for the inefficiencies in the sector, contrary to the promise that you made. In closing, colleagues, it's already clear that the government intends to go ahead with the implementation of this draconian levy, and they will not listen to anybody's plea, anybody's reasoning, or anybody's alternative ideas. We as a minority group representing over 10 million Ghanaians, and sometimes people say, oh, they are just 88. In our 88 constituencies, you will find over 10 million Ghanaians. We want to advertise that we'll be embarking on the following. Number 1, we'll continuously engage the people of Ghana, civil society groups, driver unions, and the media to showcase the true impact of this draconian and negative levy that the government is imposing on us. Number 2, we'll continue to stand with the groups of honest Ghanaians, the driver unions, the Chamber of Oil Marketers, who are opposing the levy or asking government to pull back and to engage better, and not to go by this midnight introduction into Parliament and using their numbers to push it through. We know the government has a lot of goodwill, but this is not the way to do things.
We are fully prepared. And sensitization among the various exams officers. Also, together with WAEC, orientate the invigilators and the supervisors, their do's and their don'ts. To be any yes or ye, any say or ye. The Tosumi so yate regional monitoring team. I a final meeting. Almost so because the various districts together with the district monitors. No almost so I monitor whatever is going on. Your special education coordinators are also alert. Almost special needs. They have identified them. So together with WAEC, Commune Omakasa, Ashe, almost materials, now almost so it may deter in social. Bibi Biara, yes, Yadeto Aquemumo Moyeno, Ninano, we will conclude everything today. Now, Ochnano, materials, yes, Omo Detroit exams. Now, as we speak now, WAEC has brought everything for every district. Enti Ebimu Guswa, Omo Cheke, meaning say the exercise Nina Beba end, then it will hit the exams centers immediately tomorrow, and then we start. The whole central region. Total number of candidates, no? There were private and then public. Private near 15,606, and a private near public near 51,156. We are full.
Now, one day, different examination okay, now, we'll be you are. Now, I'm going to show you the man who is the one. I said, I watch him when you're that. Why? We'll see him. Now, I'm going to say, I can't see the son of that. Said we have to tell her, I have no good. But also, I just want to be a center. Passion of Amada. Something maybe the member of a car. I'm right. It's the many as it's before. Common, what's there will be this car. Now, it's a member of my arm. And with this car, I is Canada 100 million, 10,000 dollars. Oh, yeah, better education, I district education.